So, hello and welcome back to the Don't Ask Questions podcast, a podcast where we, and this is true, question everything and maybe give advice along the way, but that's in no way serious. And if you follow it, that's on you. Also, I feel like we should always just put a little disclaimer at the top of the episode, just to be like, this isn't for like those kiddies out there. And I know I think kids are like anyone younger than 18, but just as a
legally they are.
But like, anything that's younger than me, I'm like, you are a baby. You should not be listening to this.
Our episodes are marketed as explicit. Like it's informed that this isn't made for children.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway,
the floor is yours.
My story, not a long story today, just a quick thing. I gave myself a blister sharpening pencils yesterday.
How many were you sharpening?
Are you in grade school?
No, I have a pile of pencils that I just had, and none of them were sharpened. So I decided I'm gonna just sharpen all my pencils as a way to procrastinate starting my work. And then I was sharpening, and now I have a blister on the inside of my middle finger.
That's those are 5 pencils.
There's more. I just I swear it's not just that.
I was gonna say,
Listen, she didn't grow up like you, like with calloused hands.
My hands look like this, so hers can look like that.
I was gonna say, how tightly were you gripping the pencils when you did that?
Were you like tight when you did that?
Grip it and
you're like really upset, and you just.
No, it was just that it was a bad sharpener. Like it wasn't a very good sharpener. So I had to really work at it, you know?
So this is already immediately a gross story, but I knew a kid when I went to public school, and it's public school, so you already know where the bar is at. Like, Joanna, you don't know because you never were in that system, but things get wild. And
it's wild with all children, just by the way. I think they're all just whack.
But this would never happen at where we went, because what happened was, so you know those old grade school desks with it was like an actual desk and you had stuff in it? We were in I think social studies or something, and we had an all right teacher. He was kind of like favoritism and a little sexist, but
what teacher isn't?
Yeah, what can you do, really? And he's walking up and down, sort of talking about whatever we're doing. And then this one guy is being really quiet, and he asked him a question. He's like, why aren't you answering? What are you doing in your desk? What are you fiddling about? And he's like, no, I don't want to show. And he's like, he comes over and he walks behind. He's like, what are you doing? And he brings his hands up and he's sharpening his finger.
I knew it.
He's bleeding.
No, I didn't want this story to end up there.
I did like the direction this story took. I wasn't expecting that.
I didn't tell this story to hear a story that's worse, you know?
No, that
wasn't my intention.
It's really metal.
This is the same guy that during one of so we used to have to do required choir. So, and our music teacher hated our class, so we got all the bad parts. But that's besides the point. This is the same kid who did this. We were singing, we all had to stand up, and I can't remember whether it was our Remembrance Day concert or something, but he was standing there and I was standing right behind him, and we were singing. I don't know how long we were standing up there for, but I see him start to sway, and I'm like, is this kid good? And out of nowhere, he drops. And he breaks his front teeth, and he's bleeding again.
Again?
This kid is getting injured. And then we had to stop the concert, obviously. But I just remember being this kid, I saw that happen. And apparently it was because he was standing right in front of the projector, and all the hot air was being blown into his face.
Yeah.
Wild time.
No, I just that reminds me of the time again in public school. I was in class, and you just had those classes where there was like a structure, but basically it was just people like doing work, but like not really doing work, and everyone would just talk to their friends, and the teacher just kind of had given up on us. Yeah, so it's one of those. And I was just like trying to actually do my work / talk to my friends, and then this one person we were talking to, she leaves, and she leaves for like a minute. I swear, it wasn't that long, okay? It wasn't like a significant amount of time, but she leaves, and then she comes back, and she's like, I have to go to the office. And we're like, why? What happened, right? And she's like, well, I stapled my hand. And then and so what happened was she was supposed to go staple like her homework papers together, but I don't know how. She's put a stapler in her hand. And I'm like, how is this possible? How could you do this to yourself? And we were like in middle school. Like it wasn't when we were really little. So like, how did you manage to put a stapler in your hand?
Yeah. That happens all the time.
Children are whack. That's it. That's all I got.
It's not like it could like fold inside. It would just be like 2 pins.
I know, but it's
not
painful.
that bad.
It still hurts.
Yeah, but you're still getting stabbed by metal. But I was like, how did you manage this?
I don't like it.
Also, I'm gonna call out every elementary school kid. Why are people throwing up so much? I was never this person, but I swear to God, every living day of my existence from grade 1 to 4, someone was throwing up. Why? I don't know. If you know, someone's in the class, and I'm just using a pseudonym here. I'm not actually calling a name. I'm just making it up.
Mariana.
You know, where's give me a name. Where's Jay? Where's Jay? We're like, Jay's been missing for a while. Someone comes in, he's like, he threw up. Why? Why is everyone throwing up so much?
I think kids have sensitive stomachs.
I didn't have a sensitive stomach. I never threw up.
No.
You're built different.
I am built different.
I actually do know a little bit about this.
Go for it.
Sure.
Kids. Well, okay, so none of this is rooted in science.
Okay.
So I just know that, like, you know, like how they always tell you to don't swim after 30 minutes after you eat or whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, if you're a little kid and you're like running around a lot and you have like 3 recesses a day and you're a little kid and you're eating and you're running around just so much, you're going to throw up.
See, I agree with you.
Because I used to throw up too.
No. I agree with you, but it would be situations where it's like a rainy day. We didn't go outside for recess, and some kid is just like throwing up his insides, her insides, regardless of gender. And I'm like, why? Why does this happen so much? This never happened with me.
I feel like it's a combination between the running thing and also just that like kids get sick and then they spread their sick to other kids.
Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So I'm actually reading about it now. So basically what it is that like everyone, like all people have this like mechanism of like how they react to stress and like stressful situations. And it's basically like your fight or flight. But kids, this isn't fully developed. So like they just like have that. Also, like this is not from the article, but from something that like I think could be the reason is that like we all have a thing called a sphincter. We have like multiple in our body, but there's one like from our stomach to the rest of the upper half of our body. And like theirs probably just isn't as strong. Like they haven't like I don't have a full control over that anymore. So
wait,
I don't
so you're
think
telling
so.
me
But
that little kids they get stressed out by who knows what because they're in elementary school.
Some mechanism to survive. Oh, I'm stressed out. Bleh.
Yeah.
No, I've always said this whenever I watch something. Whenever it's a little bit weird, I've always said there wasn't enough vomit in this show.
You're so weird. Why would you ever advocate for more vomit?
Because some of the situations really call for vomit.
No,
like,
they don't. Some of the situations don't.
You have to think about what I'm watching. You're thinking Devil Man Crybaby? Vomit would have been perfect. Just a stack.
Why?
Because it's pretty gory, and he's going through some like existential crisis.
And
he's like,
that's fair. That is fair.
And like, so things like that where you're like disgusted with yourself, you're gonna throw up because it's like you like it's like a mental thing.
I guess I'm just built different. I
It's
never.
also-
But no,
threw up
what
at
it is
school.
that you don't eat, so there's nothing
No.
to throw up.
I used to eat back when I was young. Okay.
It's also
I used to eat my 3 meals a day, healthy sleep schedule when I was between the ages of 5 to 10. Okay.
I turned
A little
11 and
bit
it all
after-
changed.
After that, you know what?
Is it
Things went
downward
downhill for
slope?
me. But in elementary school, in the situation we're talking about, this never happened to me.
It happened to
People
me.
also used to get nosebleeds a lot, but that I understand more. I never got them, but that's more dependent. I understand where that comes from as a child.
I've
Vomiting, I don't.
only had one nosebleed in my life that I can
And you
think
passed out.
of. Yes,
That's a good
exactly.
thing you've only had one.
Well, I wouldn't pass out now if I had a nosebleed, but at the time I was so stressed out that like
So my favorite nosebleed story is
I know
when
the story.
so one of my brothers gets nosebleeds really commonly, or at least he used to before, but he definitely got a lot. It's just like one of those things, you're like, your nose is bleeding, or you're like, he woke up and he's like, my nose bled last night. But one of the best things that it ever happened was when we went to Peru. There's like these fountains. You could go anywhere, but it was in Peru. There was like it's sort of like the ones where they're just like little spouts and you could walk into it, right?
Oh,
And it's like a big circle and it's like a bunch of, and it turned on and off and whatnot.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's going slowly and further in. He makes it to the middle, and me and my mom are watching him, and then he stops, and we're like, "What is he doing? Did he get wet?" And he turns around, and you could see
No.
a little bit of red, and he's like panicking. He's like, "I gotta get back." And so he's slowly getting back, but then once he gets back, it was we were traveling, right? So we didn't have like everything that we needed. It was at night. And we didn't have any napkins, but what we did have were plastic dog poop bags. And my mom was like, I know how to deal with this, and pressed a plastic bag against his nose as it just spread around his face. And this was the year I got my own camera. And so I took a picture with flash after. It's my favorite picture ever.
Oh my God.
I have to find it. Not right now, but I'm gonna make it my background.
Oh,
That is very funny.
yes.
Mine is not nearly as funny, but usually I have nosebleeds and it's more of like an environmental effect. But the one time I had a nosebleed and I was so sure that it was stress was we had this group project due, and this was in first year. And my group, for the most part, was decent, except for this one chick. There's always one. This one chick who couldn't do anything in the group, and it was making me so mad. Anyway, but it came to the day of our actual presentation, and we had to hand in a paper that went with it. And they had outlined like each section should be this long. And we were like, okay, and then the entire paper should be this long. And for some reason in my faculty at my university, they like to give us page limits instead of word limits, which I really don't like, but they give us page limits.
No,
So
I get that
That makes
too.
sense.
I don't know. They're like, hey, so maximum 3 pages. And then this chick had like a clear, like you're only supposed to write 1 page, or it was like half a page or something like that. But she went over by so much, and it was the day of, and I'm like, why did you not cut this down? And so we were all meeting up in our student center. And then it was like, okay, we're gonna have to last minute cut things out to make this paper the length it's supposed to be. And this is like 20 minutes before the thing is due. So I'm, stressed. And then they're like, okay, let's go. And they turn around, and then I feel it. I feel my nose start to bleed. And I'm like, oh great, this is the time to get a nosebleed when I just have to get something done and do it. And so I remember them like kind of trying to leave and me being like, okay, I'll just catch up with you in a second. And they're like, why? And I was like, because my nose is bleeding. So then I ended up like pulling tissues out of my backpack and like running to the washroom and stuff. And I come back and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But then after that, I was like, that was definitely a stress thing, and that's the first time it ever happened to me. And I was in such a public place, and there was a time limit, and I was just so angry that was the first time that it ever happened to me.
Sarah's an anime protagonist. Sarah had her anime moment.
Yeah.
Oh man. And okay, I'm just saying this because I'm petty, but also the girl who had the problem section did not show up to that. We said we're all going to meet up before to fix things, and then she just didn't come. And I was like, why would you not come?
It's the worst.
But yeah.
She's built different.
Group projects.
Yeah.
I
have a group.
don't have any group projects this year, thank God. But I'm in a few group chats. And
those are fun.
For different classes. And there's one class where this happened yesterday. I'm still so like, why would you respond to me in this way, kind of? So we read a report for the class, and the professor wants us to cite in APA style, and I'm a Chicago girl. I do Chicago style all the time, and I think I did APA in high school. I don't remember really well, right? Like I need to jog my memory, and I go online to like OWL, Purdue, and everything, and I'm trying to figure out if I need footnotes or in-text citations. Okay, yeah. Because some of it was like, yeah, you can use footnotes, but only in this. It wasn't very clear.
I think APA is in text.
It is in text, from what I've learned. And so I go to the group chat, and I'm not a big group chat person. I don't usually like go and ask for help or anything like that. But this, I was like, maybe these people know. I also emailed my prof, but she's one of those people who doesn't respond on weekends. Anyway, it's a long story. I went to the group chat, and let me pull it out because I would like to read it verbatim. It's important that I do, just so
drag them live on the air.
I type, hey, I've never really cited APA, and I usually do Chicago, but for those who know it better, do you know if you use footnotes or in-text citations for APA? Okay, that's what I write. Please note, I write, do you use footnotes or in-text citations for APA? Okay. Someone responds, I believe you can do either as long as you're consistent. Someone else responds, she specified APA on the guideline. First person responds, I thought so too. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I respond, yes. I'm just confused because I've never done it before, and I don't know if they want footnotes or in-text citations. Person one responds, I've used in-text for previous papers in Chicago. How does that help me? How does that help me? Just I could not label this easier than I already did. I just want to know if the word response, I asked APA in-text or footnotes. The response should be in-text, goodbye, thank you, have a nice life, I'm gonna go cite things. No, I don't care that you wrote some paper in first year in Chicago and you used in-text. That's not what I'm asking. And second of all, you shouldn't use in-text for Chicago. It's footnotes. So you're wrong. Finally, someone comes to my aid. All she writes is bracket, author, last name, comma, year they published the paper, close bracket. I was like, thank you.
Yes.
Holy, I'm so happy that I don't have to do group project. I did last year. I don't have to do it this year, but that just pissed me off because I could not have labeled it more clearly.
No, your mistake was you mentioned Chicago. You gave him two different answers.
Like a dumbass and been like, I don't know, I never cited.
Well, you just say I've never used. I don't use APA.
I did.
But you said I use Chicago. You mentioned Chicago. You didn't have to do that.
But I said at the end, for APA, is it footnotes?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Group chats are dumb.
Why does that not matter?
Because if you're in a group chat with a big class, you're not reading the whole text. You're going, what's the big main thing? Chicago APA in text or whatever? Okay, got it. Chicago?
3 times in the text.
Yes.
You have to speak to them very clearly. And by very clearly, I mean very simply.
Yeah. You mentioned Chicago. That's it. That was it for you. That was the
You don't
mistake.
even need to mention that you've never used APA. You just have to go APA in text or footnotes ?
That's
and
it.
send
That's
it.
all you need.
Hmm.
That's all you need. You
Yeah.
overcomplicated it
I
by
like-
being like, let me defend myself.
Personally, I like the look of footnotes more than in-text
I like
citations.
footnotes a lot better too.
It's so much easier to use in
It's-
text.
It is easier to use in
Exactly.
text, but it's so much prettier to use
Who-
footnotes.
All right.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about now?
Yeah, do you have another topic
Well,
change here?
I do.
Topic without
Oh
thinking
my!
one.
I am about to. I would love to be able to speak. Anyways, my mom before this happened came in, and I love white hot chocolate, right? And we were out shopping yesterday, and I asked to stop. It just wait, this gets better. I asked to stop at Starbucks, and we stopped, but the line was too long, and I was like, I don't really want to wait. It was like 4 people, but my mom was like, okay. And so we left, and then I was sort of being like, oh, I want hot chocolate, and I was buying, like, going on about it. And then she came home today from shopping, and she's like, I got you something special. I was like, white hot. No, she got me white chocolate chips.
Oh,
And then she tried to make hot chocolate with it, but it just tasted like melted white chocolate chips.
It's so sweet. It's just
She is very sweet.
I meant the hot chocolate itself would be really
know.
sweet. But like, yeah, it's also a sweet action to
My mom's very, she was very
Definitely.
proud of herself. She was like, talk about it on the podcast. It'll be a whole thing.
yeah.
what? Okay, so I didn't know this, but apparently a lot of people don't really like white chocolate. And I was surprised because I love white chocolate.
I love white chocolate.
That's fair.
Me
It's
too.
very sweet. Too much
Yeah.
in too
I
short
don't
of
like white
time.
chocolate very much unless it's in. Hold on. Unless it has some fruit element.
Ooh,
So
I like
that.
dark chocolate.
With orange, or I like the dark chocolate with raspberry. I think those are really good. Alone, I'm not a fan.
I could eat a whole dark chocolate bar.
That's
With
fine.
where I'm at in my life.
I
Me.
find that like so I like white chocolate and I'm okay with dark chocolate. I'm with you, Joanna, where if it has like some sort of like fruity element to it, then I like it a lot more. But like I find if you like white chocolate, you won't like dark chocolate as much, and if you like dark chocolate a lot, then no.
Let us
No,
know.
I like all the chocolate. I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
just because I feel like to me white chocolate and dark chocolate are somewhat unrelated.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, like in my mind, they're just two separate things. Like I don't compare them. I just
Mhm.
love them for what they are. They're talking about them like they're people, but
Now this is weird. Now you've done a bad thing.
no. Oh, yeah, but no, I didn't know that some people didn't like white chocolate. And then I was talking to one of my housemates, and she was saying that some people disapprove of people who like white chocolate because they claim that white chocolate isn't really chocolate because there's not
Yeah.
a lot of cocoa in it.
I've heard
yeah,
I just
that.
that's valid.
Completely
care.
unaware that this was a sentiment.
Not a concern of mine.
Natasha,
What
can I have a
kisses?
kiss?
Yes.
For reference, this is a chocolate kiss.
Yeah, I went to both
Is
ones
it?
today, and I wanted some chocolate kisses, so I'm out here with some chocolate kisses that I put in a jar as
That's a pasta
decoration.
sauce jar.
It is.
Decoration, not
It
even.
is it is decoration. It sits on my desk. It's Christmas themed.
I won't eat it. I will look.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna sit there for like a year. Yeah.
It's gonna go bad.
Yeah, that's what happens to a lot of my candy. Because I like candy, but I won't eat it because I'll want to save it, and then it'll just go bad eventually. So
In my head, I don't like candy. I was gonna say like maybe I like candy, but I don't. I don't like candy anymore.
Because you're old inside.
I thought you were gonna say because I'm dead inside. And I was like, wow, Sarah, I expected this from Joanna, but from you?
No,
It's
it's because you're old
chilling.
inside. But with you going to bed at 10 p.m. and not liking sweet things.
Excuse you, I go to bed at 9.
Okay. Horse.
it's really funny.
Better.
Because Marianne is the only one that sits in the like main room of our apartment. Usually the rest of us kind of just hang out in our rooms because we're working and stuff. We're like, yo, we'll come out, and then it's like 8:30 and the whole apartment is just dark. Like,
Well, because I like to save the energy.
no, it makes sense. It's understandable, but it's just really funny. Is like at 8:30 p.m. the whole apartment is dark.
Well, to be like, if also I come out at like 8:30 to start my day most of the time, so I don't want to be there for more than 12 hours.
No, I'm not like judging you. I'm not.
You are though.
I'm not.
That's exactly what you've done.
I'm just saying it's funny as for like university students living in an apartment, like having our lights out at 8:30 is kind of funny.
It is funny. I made my friends watch Pan's Labyrinth.
Ooh.
Again? A callback?
Yeah, callback. So to give a quick summary to listeners, unless you're reading this somehow, maybe
someone transcribes it.
Transcribing. There's a movie called Pan's Labyrinth. It's a really good movie. I really recommend it. But there's a monster in it that's really creepy. I would argue one of the creepiest monsters in the cinematic universe. And this creature in particular it has like a very grotesque look, but the thing that's most striking about it is it has no eyes on its head. And what it does have to see is it has little slits in the palms of its hands and a plate in front of it with eyeballs. So when the monster wants to see what's around, it puts the eyeballs in its hands and it will raise its hands up to where the eyes should be. So I made my friends watch that, but it's a callback for us because we used to do that all the time to each other.
We've talked about it before too.
Have we
on
talked
the
about
podcast?
it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, but I made them watch it, and oh boy, I forgot how heavy that movie is.
Yeah, it's got a lot other than that one scene.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on. It's a beautiful movie. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a feel-good movie. I don't think you will feel like they ended in a way that I guess everything's okay, but it's not.
Well, it's about the Spanish Civil War, so it's already not about, but it takes place during that. So,
but the way it ends, it's like the good guys won, quote unquote. If you remember the movie. And then what happens to the girl? She ultimately is happy, but not.
I don't know if that's a spoiler. I haven't seen this
I don't
movie.
want to spoil it for anyone because it is worth watching. Like it's a profound movie, I can't speak today, but yeah, I recently rewatched that. It's a nice movie.
You know what movie really freaked me out as a kid? I don't know why, but have you guys ever seen the Never Ending Story movie?
Yeah, that made me sad too.
No, it didn't make me sad. It genuinely freaked me out. Like, I don't know what it was about that. There's nothing like actually scary in the movie. Just something about it. After I finished watching it, I had the worst feeling in my chest.
I watched it when I was very young, and I was a big animal kid. Okay, so I really didn't like seeing dogs die and move anything horrible happening. And I didn't get halfway through that movie. Here's why. You will know what I'm talking about, Sarah. There's a scene where there's a few boys, but this is one boy in this movie. He and his horse are going on an adventure. Okay. And they get to like a marsh or a bog. I'm not sure what the difference is. And this boy rides his horse to get through it. And it's like, it's not quicksand, but it's like the mud version of that. I don't know what the term is, but it starts sucking the horse down. And the boy, this absolute, you know what? I don't have nice things to say about him, even to this day. He just gets off the horse and he's fine. And he just watches his horse drown in mud. And I was young. I might have been maybe 4. I turned it off and I was like, I'm not watching this anymore.
That's
this is
a
awful.
cold move.
That's a
Yeah.
cool move.
Like there's nothing in the movie that's like scary, like the monster from Pan's Labyrinth is scary, but you watch it and then all I was left with was just this really uncomfortable
Emptiness.
feeling, and I did not like it. Like it
Is-
haunted me.
Well, I've never seen the movie, but based on the title, is it implied, like, do they not like close off the movie? Is it implied that it just continues going?
There's like 3 of them.
Oh.
There's like multiple movies, but it's something to do with like stories and stuff. Like it's not. I don't exactly. See, I don't even remember most of the plot. I just remember feeling really bad after watching it.
Because like humans really just like closure, right? So if there's not like a clear cut end, whether or
No,
not
that's-
it's happy or sad, that could be
I don't
why,
think
but-
that's the never ending story thing. I think it's more of a like reference to books. And
There
like,
was something in it about like stories and books. I don't recall. I didn't
Yeah.
care to rewatch it after that incident. But maybe it is really good, and I just never
Didn't
got
give it a
past
chance,
it
yeah.
for age 4. But I'm
Mhm.
not here to slam the movie. I just couldn't handle it when that
Put it
happened.
on blast.
No,
It kills
no.
horses.
You know what?
Drag it. Drown it like that boy did his horse.
So bad. It was so bad. Can't believe he let his horse die.
You know what movie is also really weird that I watched in my childhood? Have you guys seen The Last Mimsy by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the rainforest one?
No.
No.
Last Mimsy.
Yeah.
It's like
The
a
one with
weird
the
bunny.
rabbit thing, and then
Yeah.
the 2 kids get like superpowers, and the one girl
Yeah.
that has like force field things, and the one of them
No,
can like
I
talk to
have never
spiders.
seen this.
and
I have never
bugs.
seen this.
It's wild. It's a
It's
wild
wild.
movie.
Yeah. I remember watching it. Like, it would like be on TV and stuff growing up. Oh, you know
But-
who's in it? Dwight's in it from The Office. I didn't realize that till just now, but he is.
Sure. I guess he was more popular back in the height of The Office, so could have
Yeah.
tried to break it into the
Cinematic.
I don't think
one.
The Last Mimsy did well in theaters.
No, it's got like 55% Rotten
As I
Tomatoes.
say, I don't think it was a very successful movie.
No, it's not. But yeah.
But somehow we've all
it
seen
exists.
it,
You-
except for Joanna. But somehow
No, I
so
haven't
many
seen
people
this.
have
I was
seen it.
I know what movie I was thinking of. It wasn't that, but yeah.
Do you remember Blockbuster?
Yes.
Like
Like,
the
like,
video rental service?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So in my family, I think we tried to do like the alternating, like each child could pick a movie or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it went rather well, but I remember at the peak of like Blockbuster, I was obsessed with the movie Stardust, and I made my parents rent it like almost 3 times in a row or something. They were watching, they're like, we've seen this before. How did you pull a quick one under us? And I was like, well, it was a good movie.
When I was like really young, my parents tried to show my brother and I Mr. Bean. And like
Um,
Mr.
Mr. Bean's
Mr.
very
Bean.
funny and everything, but you have to understand that something innate in me wants everything to follow rules. Like I just, even as a child, like if I saw somebody and they were too tall or they were bald or they were too loud or something just like didn't make sense to me, I would cry. Like I just didn't like things that didn't follow the pattern.
Imagine
there-
you're in public, you're just a bald man, and some kid looks at you and just bursts into tears.
Just trying to live life.
Apparently my mom tried to take me to the grocery store and there was a man who had like a really longish bowl haircut and I pointed at him and screamed because I didn't like it. Anyway, so that was me as a child. Fun to have, fun to be around. But they tried to show me Mr. Bean, and Mr. Bean is very funny to me now, but back then he was the most frustrating and anxiety-inducing man on the planet because he did
get that.
everything wrong, and
Yeah.
I would just totally freak out at absolutely everything he did, and my parents were like, this was supposed to be a fun time. Why is she freaking out? And I distinctly remember being able to fit on like the arm of our couch, which was kind of round, you know, one of those. And I remember clinging onto it so that my stomach was like on the top of it and my legs and arms were wrapped around it, kind of like a koala.
Yeah.
You know, but like on my stomach and gripping it as hard as I could and like freaking out because I just didn't like Mr. Bean. I was so concerned for Mr. Bean.
And then
Like
you
there's
got
one
so
where
stressed
he
out,
locks
you
himself out
threw
of
up.
his car and goes and writes a test.
Like the kids do in middle school. I'm kidding.
No, she got a nosebleed, and that was the start.
That was
Gosh.
the start. But yeah, I really didn't like it. Oh my god.
Yeah. A clip that I always think is Mr. Bean, but it's actually not. It's from the Pink Panther, the one with what's his name?
Hamburger scene?
Not the hamburger scene.
Mm.
He's trying to parallel park smart car between two
Oh,
cars that
so
are really
funny.
far apart, and he just keeps going back and he keeps hitting the bumper on either side, but it takes like 3 seconds for him to hit the other side of the parking. And I die laughing every time because now like I can drive. I think about it every time that I need to park or do anything. I'm just like, yeah.
And
That's one thing.
MGs, Natasha's on the road just like running red lights.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Okay, so I was also really rule bound as a child. So if you guys ever heard the expression, step on a crack, break your mother's back. That's an expression. I don't know where it came from. It shouldn't be an expression. It makes no sense. But I think there's
It's just bad luck.
I don't know. So yeah, I get it. But like, I don't like it. I didn't like it then even more.
Okay.
I think there was an episode of Fairly Odd Parents, if you guys have seen that, with where that came true, where it's like he stepped on a crack and then his mom's back was broken. Anyway, so I was in Sears with my mom. And there was like cracks just in the tile because it's just like an old Sears, and that just happens to tile eventually. And I think I stepped on one of the cracks and then I just had a whole tantrum in Sears because I was so freaked out that my mom would then break her back. So that's a fun story from my childhood.
There's this one time, this is kind of not rat related, but there's this one time that
Wait.
at the church I was growing up at.
Did you just say not rat related?
Not that related.
Oh, I was like, did I miss the rats in the other
No.
story?
This is not that related. Just like childhood trauma. But there's this one time that the preschool kids, there was a group at our church of preschool kids and they wanted to do a thing for Easter that was fun. And so what they wanted to do was have like an Easter bunny come, and then we do like a scavenger hunt for like eggs and whatever, after learning about Jesus. So then what they did was they got one of the dads, or I don't know if he was one of the kids' dads, but he was like one of the older people at our church to dress up and then come and be the Easter bunny. But the thing is, we were really small and we were just so terrified because he rented this huge pink bunny suit and then he surprised us by opening the door and being like, hey, but all we saw as kids was just a giant terrifying bunny. And then so everyone in the class started screaming and they're like, get out, please get out. And so he left and he was like, okay, maybe it'll be better if I come back. So he comes back and opens the door again, but as soon as he does, all the kids start screaming their head off. I think that's the last time they tried to do anything in a costume ever again, because I don't remember having like Easter bunny costumes or Santa costumes or anything at my church after that.
Father suited up. Bunny entered. Kids vomiting. The bunny is forcefully removed from the classroom.
It scares me so much because if I was teaching at that grade level, I'd be so scared anything I did, some kid's just gonna start puking. Accidentally. It's just like
kids are just
like,
vomiting every day in
so, like, because apparently they get so stressed out or whatever. I'm just like getting to the front of the classroom. I'm like, okay, so tonight you have to do 6 pages of spelling, vomit everywhere. They're so stressed out. I'm like, oh my God.
Why are you assigning 6 pages of spelling to elementary students?
So the other
Why was
time-
that your go-to? When were you ever sent home to do
Spelling homework?
Well, 6 pages of spell. What's
I don't know. Okay, now you're like looking too deep into
Yeah,
it.
I am.
Plus,
I'm
you're thinking
dissecting the
about-
story.
You have to think about how big these children's textbooks are. Like the text in these books is ridiculous. It's huge.
Yeah, they're like big. It's fine.
Yeah.
It'll take them like 1 hour max.
Yeah.
I used to be
Anyway.
really good as a kid. I started
Oh, like
My-
good in behavior?
maybe.
Continue.
I meant like
Your
academic.
stories, I really disagree.
You don't know my brothers, but like what they were like.
Okay, but
Comparatively,
okay.
you were good.
Yeah,
I
but,
wouldn't say that's okay. It's okay. Go on.
Tell your story.
But I meant-
Academically. you were
I
good.
mean, academically, as a kid, I was good because I used to come home. I would do all my homework, and then I would watch like an hour of like cartoons, and then I'd be like, "Wow, look at me, all done." Out the window with like from grades like 3 to basically this term. Because all of a sudden this term, I got so bored with online school, I turned to doing school. I'm so ahead. I'm such a
I don't
nerd.
understand. Online
get it.
Online school just allows me to be closer to the Netflix button on my homepage of Google.
I can't watch
That's all
Netflix.
it is.
I only used to watch shows when I had like something super big the next day. Like during like midterms of like the winter term, I was like, I should watch this whole anime the night before my math midterm.
That's how you do it.
Uh,
I always binge watch a lot of shows on the holidays. That's how I get through things. Because then I'll just sit on the couch, I'll park myself there, and it's just a day of binge watching, and that's it.
I was in grade 1 at the time, and it was basically like I'd just be chilling, I was vibing. The teacher made a rule that was like, you cannot get up from your desk for any reason or you'll get detention. I had a very strict grade 1 teacher who gave grade 1
God.
students detention. So it
You
was
had
very
detention in the
plausible.
first grade.
I've never gotten detention, but I could have. So I was terrified of the prospect of getting detention. So I was sitting there, my stomach not feeling so good at the moment. So I would raise my hand to ask, can I go to the washroom and deal with my, issues here, right? Took her too long to call on me. And all of a sudden, there's puke on the desk.
Why are little kids puking all the time?
He was stressed.
What was your problem? What
It
was
was-
your problem?
I was grade 1, I don't remember. But it's just because she was like, you can't get up from your desk. And so I was like, oh my God, I feel nauseous. I'm going to raise my hand, ask to go to the washroom, ask to do something. But no, I would not move because that's the rule. And I wasn't about to get detention. But yeah. And
Did
then
you get
after,
detention for that?
no, I didn't. And then afterwards, she's like, well, if it's an emergency, you can get up. And I'm like, thanks. That would have been great to know like half an hour ago.
Your teacher realized her mistake. She's like, oh no.
Oh my God.
I wonder how she's doing.
It's the funniest thing. Well, this is sort of unrelated to what you just said.
Okay.
Because I was walking in the parking lot, like I said, I was out with my mom yesterday, and so like one of my like old public school friends' mother called my mother's name. I don't know how she remembered her or noticed her or whatever, and I had to go through that whole conversation not knowing who this friend was. She's just like, I'm so and so's mom, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, how's she doing? Nothing.
This is such a Mariana story.
Yeah.
But it was so wild. She like could pinpoint my mom from
Yeah.
like the back of her head or whatever.
That was
Yeah.
pretty wild.
I had an experience like that in the summer, but it was awkward. because it was just like, I don't know what circumstances did this, but I was basically at a bar and I went to the bathroom and I'm in there, whatever. Like I washed my hands, and as I'm washing my hands, one of my old coworkers walks in, and I recognize her even with the mask on and everything, because she I don't know, like I remembered her, and I was like, oh, like blank, hi, how's it going? And I don't know if she was drunk or she didn't know who I was, but her answer was like very like, good, thanks, and yourself? She was like, why are you talking to me? And I'm like blank, it's me, like we used to work together last year. And she's like, yeah, of course I remember you. And I was like, no, you don't. This is really awkward. I'm leaving this bathroom right now. But I would have thought I would have been more memorable. Or she could have just been very drunk. I don't know.
You're very
repulsive. Is that what you want to say?
No, I was gonna say rememberable, but that's not the word. Memorable to me.
You're right. You're right.
I feel like I'm the opposite of you, Joanna. I assume that nobody remembers me. And from my experience, that is true. I just go with it. I'm like, yeah, nice to meet you. Oh, you're in that program? Oh, okay, yeah, and in this year, and in my head, I'm like, I already know all of this because we've met.
Really awkward, because I will be like, this happened last year pre-social distancing, but sometimes I'll be out. I'll be in a bar or a club or something, and people come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, Joanna!" And I was like, "I don't know who you are," because probably the time meeting them, I was a little, like I don't remember. Plus, like, you meet so many people there, you kind of just don't remember interactions. They're like, "Oh my God, like, how have you been?" And I was like, "I don't know who you are." Like, sometimes I just get pounced, and I feel so bad at times, but I don't know.
Yeah, that happens.
Or there's sometimes I've been pounced and I will remember, like, but again, it's always in those situations where, like, it's a bar I'm walking through and someone's like, "Joanna, look," and I'll be like, "I haven't seen you since middle school," and I was like, "Oh my God."
Wild.
Huh?
Yeah, I just said it's wild.
Yeah, it is funny. Sometimes I get pounced like that. But it is really awkward when you don't remember the person. So what I try to do, well, I guess this happened a lot first year as well, because you meet so many people, you just kind of like, I'm not good with names. So I'd like talk to them as though I remember their name, and then I hope it drops in conversation. I'm like, "Oh, their name was this."
I just ask. I have no shame when I don't remember someone. So I fully just turn to them. I'm like, "I don't remember you. What is your name again?" And you know what? It's worked for me since. No one's been like offended. So
here you go.
I just feel bad.
Yeah.
Why? You just said you meet a lot of people.
I know, but I don't know.
You flex on them during it. You're like, "Sorry, I'm like very popular."
No, because I just feel bad. Like, I'm good with faces, but names I'm not at all. And then I'll feel bad for not remembering, like, especially if you remember mine.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, "I don't remember your name, but we met. What was it again?" I'll be like, "Oh, well, it was this. Like, what was yours?" Like, then I can kind of like slip it in there. But if they clearly remember my name, and I'm just bad with names, I feel really bad.
You just say that.
I like to go with the flow and fake it till I make it and pretend that I do.
That's
in the future. If anyone ever re-meets Joanna,
go. "Hey, Joanna, it's."
Insert name here.
Insert name.
Every time we call Joanna, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you might not remember me, but it's Mariana from high school."
Okay, with that, I think we'll be wrapping up today's episode.
Cool. So I hope you enjoyed this week's chaos and unhelpful advice. You know what? You could always drop us some questions that you guys have to any one of our socials that Natasha will definitely say now because she remembers.
It's at DAQ underscore podcast for Twitter. Don't Ask Questions podcast for basically everything else. So, yeah, give us a follow, like, comment.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll give you some advice of like what not to do. Anyway, so keep vibing and keeping it tight, my guys. Catch you on the flippy dip, and remember, don't worry about it.